Hey, let's check in with Chapter 4, Brndn of Astra. So in each one of these chapters, a different person is who Astra passes through in her life, and we get everything from that person's perspective. This one is Brndn, a manager at a men's clothing store, who Astra gets off the bus, apparently having left the commune, probably because it wasn't getting along with Clodagh, I'm assuming, and no ums, no ahs, and gets hired by him. And right off the bat, you get a kind of a bad feeling from Brndn of somebody who is manipulating, somebody who is looking at this young girl and looking at her in a predatory way, in a, you know, I'm an older man who's going to seduce her, something like that. Uh, and there is that continuing kind of threat hanging throughout the story, though he actually, he has thoughts, but he doesn't act upon them. And there's even, as you're getting close to the end, you're thinking, oh, well, maybe he's actually figured something out about himself. He's grown as a person, and isn't is going to kind of turn a leaf. He looks at a woman who's actually more his own age and can think like, oh, I'm actually attracted to this person. Have more appropriate relationships. Decides to get a gym membership, which is sort of the cliche. I'm gonna change myself, change my life, which maybe is the cautionary note there. So many people do that and fail immediately. Um, we do get darker hints that he sees the security guards, and there's a new security guy there, and he's like, oh shit, they're gonna harass me again, because if I'm innocently sitting outside the women's wash too close to the women's washroom, where I'm talking, I hang around any of the young women at the mall, which, apparently he works at the mall, and I guess there's propinquity of that, but all of these young women are who he is having relationships with. And he's worried that the security guard is going to tell Astra about what he's doing. But Astra actually, before any of that happens, says, oh, I've got a friend, someone she's made a friend with at the store, a woman who's actually probably more Brndn's age, says, "Oh, I've got a room at my place. You can stay there. It's going to be like 150 a month, which is like that's actually something that would be doable for somebody who's working working retail. So that's great." And Brndn's really pissed. Brndn, this is when you start getting that, he likes that she does exactly what he says. That there's that thing of older guys and young women. It's like, I like that they want to be educated, that I can be, that power imbalance is really shown well. But he's pissed, like she's decided to do this without clearing it with him first, without discussing it with him first. But he manages to control himself in this situation and brings the stuff over, does say some snarky things to the friend, but is able to let it go. The next day, Astra is very cold and has been dropped off work by the new head of security, and has heard and has learned, and we learn what he's been doing, which is having obsessive relationships, being violent with girls, taking pictures of girls in bathrooms. So he is he's a full grown blown sexual predator. And Astra, she says, like, I'm not working here anymore, and he grabs her, but she does not go limp in this case. She knocks him away, does a straight arms him, can take care of her, does can take care of herself. And I mean, he's going through all this like, oh, she just used me, kind of blah 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 stuff. She was manipulating me from the beginning. It's like, oh, I guess I'm gonna go sleep on in the bus station. It's like, she obviously wanted me to offer her a a bed, and there is probably a certain amount of manipulation, but that doesn't obviously give him any rights to her body or her life and stuff like that. So it's one of these cases where you think, oh, maybe Brendan's not a bad guy, and then by the end of the story, you're like, oh, he is a bad he's a bad guy, and he is not particularly changed by the end of the story. But the Cedar Bowers does a really good job of kind of taking you kind of the ups and downs on that of like, oh, maybe he is actually going to be okay, to him snapping back into his, I guess, usual behavior and grabbing her violently. Um, so yeah, yeah. Yet again, just this nice contained story within this chapter, but also giving us a bit more of thing on Astra. Of Astra, she does have a vulnerability, fragility, but she also seems to have she has skills. It's like she knows how to deal with guys like Brndn, and maybe was kind of confident that she could handle herself, even inviting herself over, using his inappropriate desires against him to get what she wanted in the situation. I mean, she's playing it's very dangerous. That's You can see that's something a young woman might do, is like, oh, I can handle him. And yes, she did in this case, but maybe not in all cases, which would be if you're a parent, someone looking at Astra, you'd be like, oh Jesus, please, be more careful, Astra. So yeah, really interesting chapter. We'll go on to the next one. All right, more videos later.